From the edge of the galaxy, a single damaged ship drifted in silence. Its engines were barely alive. Sparks flashed across its broken hull. Inside, the air was thin, and the lights flickered like they were about to give up. Commander Viral sat in the pilot chair, breathing slowly, trying to stay calm. His species had ruled entire star systems. They had crushed rebellions, defeated powerful enemies, and built an empire feared by all. But now he was running. Behind him, far in the dark space, something moved. It had no shape, no clear form, but it was there, and it was coming. Status? Viral asked, his voice low but steady. A young officer checked the panel. His hands were shaking. Shields are gone. Weapons offline. Engines at 20%. Viral closed his eyes for a moment. That was not enough. Not against them. Any signal response? He asked. The officer hesitated. No, Commander. No one is answering. Of course. Why would they? The Empire had made many enemies. Too many. Now, when they needed help, there was only silence. The ship shook suddenly. A deep vibration ran through the metal walls. Everyone froze. It was closer now. Boost engines. Viral ordered. They won't hold, the officer replied. Do it. The ship pushed forward, shaking harder. Alarm screamed. The sound filled every corner of the ship. But still, it was not enough. Commander Viral looked at the main screen. Nothing. Just empty space. But he knew better. They were there, watching, waiting. A second officer spoke, his voice full of fear. Commander, we lost the 7th Fleet in minutes. The 9th Fleet disappeared. The outer colonies are gone. No signals. No survivors. Viral did not reply. He already knew. He had seen it happen. Ships larger than cities, erased without a trace. No explosions. No battles. Just gone. What are they? The young officer whispered. No one answered, because no one knew. The ship shook again, harder this time. Lights went out for a second, then came back. Viral stood up. We can't run forever, he said. Silence filled the room. Everyone understood what he meant. He walked slowly toward the communication panel. There was one option left. One final choice. A choice the Empire would never accept. Commander, the officer said carefully, you're not thinking about them? Viral stopped. Yes, he was. Humans. A small, new species from a quiet planet called Earth. They were not part of the Empire. They were not strong in numbers. They did not control large territories. But they had something else. Something different. Viral had heard the stories. Whispers across the galaxy. Stories that no one believed. Stories that sounded impossible. They don't panic. They don't rush. They don't show fear. Some said humans were weak. Others said they were unpredictable. But one thing was clear. They were not like anyone else. The officer stepped closer. Commander, the Empire has never asked humans for help. If we do this, it will change everything. Viral looked at him. Everything has already changed, he said quietly. Another violent shake hit the ship. This time, a part of the wall cracked. Air started leaking. Time was running out. Viral took a deep breath, opened a channel to Earth. The room went silent. No one moved. No one spoke. Commander, what do we even say? The young officer asked. Viral looked at the stars. Then he said something no Empire commander had ever said before. Tell them we need help. The message was sent. A simple signal. No threats. No commands. Just a call. Then, nothing. Seconds passed. Then minutes. No response. The officer looked at Viral. They are not answering. Viral said nothing. He kept watching the screen. Waiting. Another ship's signal appeared for a moment, then vanished. Gone. Just like the others. Fear started to grow inside the crew. Not loud. Not wild. But deep. Heavy. What if they refuse? Someone whispered. What if we are too late? Another said. Viral finally spoke. Then we face what is coming. Suddenly, the screen flickered. Everyone turned. A signal. Incoming. Commander, we have a response. The officer said, surprised. The room froze. No one dared to breathe. Put on screen, Viral ordered. The screen turned black. Then slowly, a single line appeared. No image, no face, just words. Message received. That was all. The officer frowned. That's it. Viral leaned closer. His eyes narrowed. Send again, he said. Ask for assistance. Urgent. The message was sent. Again, the ship shook violently. Something hit them. Not a weapon, not a missile, just pressure, like space itself was closing in. Hull integrity dropping, the officer shouted. 15%. Panic started rising. People moved faster. Voices became louder. But Viral stayed still, watching the screen, waiting. Then, another response came. The screen changed again. Stand by. That was all. The officer looked confused. What does that mean? Viral didn't answer. But inside, something shifted. Because the tone was not afraid, not rushed. Calm. Too calm. Another violent shake hit the ship. A loud crack echoed through the hall. They're here, someone shouted. Still no visible enemy. Still no shapes. But something was touching the ship, breaking it apart slowly. Commander, we can't hold, the officer yelled. Viral clenched his fists. Hold position, he said. Hold position? The officer repeated in shock. We need to run. Viral turned to him. We already tried running. Silence. The ship stopped moving. Engines slowed. Then, almost quiet. Everyone looked at Viral, like he had lost his mind. But he kept his eyes on the screen. Stand by, he whispered. Seconds felt like hours. The pressure outside grew stronger. Metal bent. Systems failed. Then suddenly, everything stopped. No shaking. No sound. No movement. Silence. The crew looked around in confusion. What just happened? Someone asked. The officer checked the sensors. His eyes widened. Commander! The signal, it's gone. What signal? Viral asked. The thing that was following us. Viral stepped closer. Explain. The officer swallowed. It's not there anymore. Silence filled the room. Not there? Someone repeated. The officer shook his head. Nothing is there. The crew looked at each other. No one understood. Just seconds ago, they were about to die. And now, nothing. Viral slowly turned back to the screen. Another message appeared. This time, more words. You are safe. The officer stepped back. How? No answer. Just one more line appeared. Do not move. Viral stared at the words. His mind raced. What had humans done? They did not send ships. They did not attack. They did not even show themselves. And yet, the threat was gone. Just like that. The young officer whispered, Commander, what are humans? Viral did not answer, because for the first time, even he did not know. Far away, hidden in the darkness, something watched. Something that had destroyed fleets. Now it was gone. Or maybe it had simply chosen to leave. And somehow, humans were the reason. Viral looked at the stars again. But now, they did not feel cold anymore. They felt different. The ship did not move. No one touched the controls. No one even spoke. Commander Viral stood still, eyes fixed on the screen. Do not move. Those words echoed in his mind again and again. It had been 3 minutes. 3 long, heavy minutes. And still, nothing. Commander, the young officer whispered, should we respond? Viral raised his hand slightly. A silent order. Wait, because something felt wrong. Or maybe something felt too right. The sensors were clear. No enemy ships. No energy signals. No movement. But the silence, it was not empty. It felt controlled. The officer checked again. Commander, I am scanning all ranges. There is nothing. It's like space itself has been cleaned. Cleaned. That word did not belong in war. Another officer spoke, more quietly this time. Sir, what if the humans didn't destroy it? Viral slowly turned. What do you mean? The officer hesitated. What if they moved it? The room went cold again. Moved it? The thing that erased fleets. that ignored weapons, that no one could see, moved? That's impossible, someone said, but no one sounded confident. Viral turned back to the screen. Send a message. The officer nodded. What should I say? Viral paused, carefully choosing his words. Then he said, explain. The message was sent. Again, they waited. This time, the response came faster. The screen flickered. Negative. The crew exchanged looks. That's it? The officer asked. Viral stepped closer. His voice lowered. Ask again. The second message was sent. We request information. What happened to the threat? A few seconds passed. Then the screen changed. Threat is not relevant. The room exploded with confusion. Not relevant? One officer shouted. It destroyed entire fleets. Another said, billions are gone. But Viral stayed calm, watching, thinking, because something was clear now. Humans were not speaking like soldiers. They were speaking like they already knew everything. Commander, the young officer said slowly, they are not answering like allies. No, Viral replied quietly. They are not. Another message appeared, but this time it came before they even asked. You should leave this sector. The words felt heavier, more serious. Why? The officer asked. Viral did not repeat the question. He changed it. Ask them this, he said. The officer prepared. Viral spoke slowly. Is the threat still active? Message sent. Seconds passed. Then the reply came. Yes. The room froze. Yes, someone shouted. But you said we are safe. Another message appeared instantly. You are safe for now. A chill ran through every person on the ship. For now. That meant not forever. Commander, the officer whispered, we need to go. Viral nodded slowly, but he did not give the order yet, because one question remained. A dangerous one. What are you doing about it? Viral said. The officer hesitated. Sir, are you sure? Yes. The message was sent, and for the first time, there was a delay. Not seconds. Longer. Almost a full minute. Something changed. The silence felt different now. Heavier. Watching. Then, the response came. But it was not just words this time. The screen shifted. Data started flowing. Strange symbols. Unknown patterns. Commander, I don't understand this, the officer said. Translate, Viral ordered. I'm trying. The system worked fast, breaking the code, piece by piece. Then finally, the translation appeared, and every person in the room went silent. We are not fighting it. No one moved. What? Someone whispered. Another line appeared. We are containing it. The meaning hit harder than any weapon. Containing? You don't contain something that destroys fleets, the officer said. But the message was not finished. More words appeared. Direct conflict increases spread. Viral's eyes widened slightly. Spread? That thing was spreading? Another line appeared. You were not attacked. The crew looked confused. What does that mean? Someone asked. Then, the final line came. You were being tested. Silence. Complete silence. The air felt heavier again. Tested? By what? Or worse? By who? Suddenly, the ship systems flickered again. Not from damage. From something else. Commander, the officer said, voice shaking. We are picking up something new. Viral turned sharply. What is it? The officer stared at the screen. I don't know. Show me. The main display changed. At first, nothing. Then slowly, a shape appeared. Not clear, not solid, but there, like space itself was bending. Everyone stepped back. Is that it? Someone whispered. The officer checked the readings. Yes. The room went cold again. But I thought it was gone, another said. No, Viral said quietly. Now he understood. It never left. The shape moved slightly. Not fast, not aggressive, just watching. Then suddenly, the human signal returned. Urgent. Do not engage. Another line followed instantly. Do not communicate. The crew froze. Communicate? The officer asked. Then, something impossible happened. The shape moved closer, and the ship's systems reacted, not with alarms, but with response. Uncontrolled response. "Commander!" the officer shouted. "It's trying to connect." "Block it," someone yelled. "I can't." The lights flickered wildly. Screens changed. Unknown symbols appeared everywhere. "Shut it down," Viral ordered. Systems not responding. The shape pulsed once. And then, a voice, not through speakers, not through sound, inside their minds. "You are not them." Everyone froze. No one spoke. No one breathed. The voice continued. "You are smaller." Fear spread instantly. "Deep, primal," the officer whispered. "Commander, it's inside the system." Viral shook his head, slowly. "No." His voice dropped. "It's inside us." The shape moved again. Closer. The voice returned. "We're the calm ones." The crew looked at each other in terror. Calm ones? Humans. It was asking for humans. Before anyone could react, the human signal cut in again. Strong. Sharp. Disconnect immediately. The ship's systems forced a shutdown. Lights died. Screens went black. Everything stopped. Total darkness. Total silence. Seconds passed. Then slowly, systems came back online. The shape was gone. Completely gone. The crew gasped for air. "What was that?" someone whispered. No one answered. Viral looked at the screen again. One final message from humans appeared. "Now you understand." Viral's hands tightened. "Yes," he said quietly. But what he understood was far more terrifying. This was not a war. This was not an enemy. This was something else. Something that did not fight. Something that searched. And humans were already dealing with it. Silently. Calmly. Like they always did. The silence after the voice felt heavier than any battle. No one on the ship spoke. No one even looked at each other. Because now they all knew one thing. The enemy was not outside anymore. Commander Viral stood still, his hands behind his back. Calm on the outside. But inside, something was changing. "It spoke to us," the young officer whispered. Viral nodded slowly. "Yes." Another officer shook his head. "That is not possible. No known species can enter the mind like that." Viral looked at him. "Then we are no longer dealing with a known species." The room fell silent again. On the main screen, the last human message still glowed. "Now you understand." But Viral knew they did not understand. Not fully. "Open a channel," Viral said. The officer hesitated. "Commander, they told us not to communicate." "I am not communicating with it," Viral replied calmly. "I am communicating with humans." The channel opened. For a moment, nothing. Then, a response. No delay this time. Connection established. Still no image. Still no identity. Just words. Always just words. Viral stepped forward. "This is Commander Viral of the Empire," he said. His voice was steady again. "We need answers." A short pause. Then the reply came. "You already have them." The crew exchanged looks. "That is not an answer," Viral said. Another pause. Then, "It communicates by reflection." The officer frowned. "Reflection of what?" The answer came instantly. "Of you." A cold feeling spread through the room. "What does that mean?" someone asked. Viral did not wait. "It spoke to us," he said. "It entered our minds." "Yes." "Why?" Viral asked. A longer pause this time. Then, "To measure." "Measure what?" Silence. Then slowly. "Stability." The word felt strange. Out of place. "Stability?" the officer repeated. Viral's eyes narrowed. "You mean it is testing minds?" "Correct." The crew felt the fear return. But this time, it was deeper. "So all those fleets," one officer said quietly, "they were not destroyed in battle." No one finished the sentence. Because they all understood they had failed. Viral spoke again. "What happens to those who fail?" There was no answer. For a few seconds, only silence. Then finally, "They are removed." The words hit harder than any explosion. Removed, not killed, not defeated. Removed, like they never existed. The officer's hand started shaking again. Commander, we need to leave. Now. But Viral did not move, because something else was forming in his mind. A bigger question. If it is testing for stability, he said slowly, then why are humans still here? The room went still. Yes. Why? Why had Earth not been erased? Why had humans survived something that destroyed entire fleets? The answer came, and this time, it changed everything. Because humans do not react. Silence. What? The officer whispered. Another line appeared. Most species panic. Another. Most species resist. And then, humans observe. The words felt simple, but heavy. Observe. Viral repeated. Yes. The crew looked confused. That is not enough, someone said. But Viral was thinking deeper now. He remembered the moment when the voice spoke, when fear filled the room, when minds almost broke. Almost. He looked around. Every face showed it. Fear, shock, confusion. They had reacted. Humans had not. Viral spoke again. Is that why you told us not to move? He asked. Yes. Because movement is reaction? Yes. Everything started connecting. The calm, the silence, the short answers. It was not behavior. It was strategy. Then why help us? The officer suddenly asked. Another pause. Then, because you asked. The simplicity of the answer made it more powerful. The Empire never asked. It commanded. It took. It demanded. But this time, they had asked, and humans had responded. Calmly, without judgment, without fear. Suddenly, the ship's sensors reacted again. Commander! The officer shouted. It's back! The room froze. The shape returned. Closer than before. Larger. Watching. The same bending of space. The same silent pressure. The crew stepped back instinctively. Fear rising again. Hold position, Viral said. But this time, his voice was different. Stronger. More controlled. The officer looked at him in shock. Commander? Viral did not look away from the shape. Do nothing, he said. The shape pulsed once. The same presence filled the ship again. The same voice. You again. But this time, no one screamed. No one moved. They remembered. Observe. Do not react. The voice continued. You learned. Viral spoke calmly. Yes. The crew looked at him in shock. He was talking to it, but not with fear, not with anger, just calm. The shape moved closer. You are different now. Viral nodded slightly. We understand. A pause. Longer this time. Then, you are still not them. Viral did not react. Maybe not, he said. The shape pulsed again. Stronger. The pressure returned. Testing. Pushing. Trying to break them. But this time, no panic. No fear. Just silence. Just control. Seconds passed. Then, the pressure faded. The shape pulled back slightly. Interesting. The crew slowly breathed again. They had survived. Again. But this time, it felt different. Like they had passed something. A test. The shape began to fade. But before it disappeared, it said one final thing. The calm ones are coming. And then, gone. Completely gone. The room stayed silent. No one spoke for a long time. Then finally, the officer whispered, Commander, what did it mean? Viral looked at the empty space ahead. He already knew. Humans, they were coming. Not with fleets. Not with weapons. But with something far more powerful. Control, understanding, and a calm that nothing could break. Viral took a deep breath. For the first time, he said quietly, I think we are about to see what humans really are. Far away, beyond sensors, beyond detection. Something moved. Silent. Precise. Human. Space was quiet again, but it was not the same quiet as before. This silence was different. Controlled. Intentional. Like something was holding the universe, still waiting. Commander Viral, stood near the front window of the ship. His reflection stared back at him, tired, but aware. The crew behind him did not speak. After the last encounter, words felt small. "You think they're coming?" the young officer finally asked. Viral did not answer immediately, because the question was no longer simple. "Not coming," he said slowly. "They were always here." The officer frowned. "What do you mean?" But before Viral could reply, the sensors reacted. Not alarms, not warnings, just presence. A new reading appeared. Far away, at the edge of detection, something had arrived. No jump signature, no energy burst, no warning, just suddenly there. The officer's eyes widened. "Commander," Viral already knew. "Yes." On the main screen, space began to shift. Not violently, not dramatically, but smoothly, like reality was being gently rewritten. And then they appeared. At first, nothing clear, just shapes, dark, silent, perfectly still, then more formed, and more. No massive warships, no loud engines, no aggressive formation, just presence, controlled, balanced, calm. The officer stepped back. That is human fleet?" Viral nodded slowly. "Yes." But it did not look like any fleet the Empire had ever seen. No weapons shown, no shields activated, no battle stance. They did not look like they were preparing for war. They looked like they had already ended it. The ship's communication system activated, automatically. No one triggered it. A human signal came through, but it was not a voice. Not yet, just a simple transmission. "Stand down." The Empire ship froze. No one moved. "Commander," the officer whispered, "should we respond?" Viral looked at the fleet outside. "No," he said. For the first time, he was not guessing. He was certain. The human fleet did not move. It did not approach. It did not attack. It simply existed, and that was enough. Seconds passed. Then minutes. Then suddenly, a new signal came. This time, clear, direct, human voice. Not loud, not emotional, just calm. "This sector is under observation." The crew stayed silent. Then the voice continued. "No reaction is required." The officer whispered, "They are talking to us like we are not enemies." Viral nodded. "Because we are not." The voice continued. "The entity has been contained." A pause. "The testing phase is complete." The crew looked confused. "Testing phase." That word again. Viral spoke quietly. "So it was never about us." The voice responded instantly. "Correct." Another pause. The purpose was calibration. "Of what?" the officer asked without thinking. The response came immediately. "Civilization response patterns." Silence again. Then Viral finally asked, "What are you calibrating for?" A longer pause. Even the human fleet outside remained still. Then the answer came, and everything changed. Expansion boundary stability. The officer blinked. "What?" Viral understood faster. His eyes narrowed. "You are not defending the galaxy," he said. The voice responded. "No, you are managing it." Silence. Heavy silence. The truth settled slowly. The Empire was not the top. The fleets were not the peak. The wars were not chaos. Everything was managed, observed, controlled. The officer stepped forward slightly. "Then what was that entity?" A pause. Then, "A failure condition." The crew froze. "A failure?" someone whispered. "Yes." Viral spoke again. "And if it had reached us?" The answer came. "You would not have survived long enough to understand." No emotion, no anger, just fact. Cold, simple, absolute. The officer swallowed hard. "So humans stopped it?" Another pause. Then, "Yes." The officer asked, "How?" The reply came, "Before it could define you." Silence again. Viral finally looked away from the screen. Now he understood everything. The calm, the silence, the strange behavior. Humans were not reacting because they were strong. They were calm because reaction was unnecessary. They were already ahead, always ahead. The fleet outside slowly shifted, but not in attack formation, not in defense, just alignment, like they were organizing space itself. The human voice spoke again. This sector will be stabilized. Your presence is not required for this operation. The officer whispered, they are removing us from our own war. Viral corrected him quietly. They are showing us it was never ours. The fleet began to fade, not disappearing, just moving away, effortlessly, silently, like the universe was opening a path for them. And then, one final message arrived. It was different, not technical, not cold, almost personal. You reacted well. The crew looked at each other. No one spoke. Then the message continued. You may continue. And then, silence. The fleet was gone. No explosion. No jump signature. No trace. Just empty space. As if they had never been there. The ship slowly stabilized. Systems returned to normal. The crew remained frozen. No one could process it. Viral finally stepped back from the window. His voice was quiet. They were never fighting us. The officer asked, then what were they doing? Viral looked at him, making sure we do not destroy ourselves or anything beyond us. Silence. Far away, somewhere beyond known space, the human fleet gathered again, not in formation, not for war, but for continuation. And inside that silence, a final transmission spread across the galaxy, not for fear, not for warning, but for understanding. The universe is not a battlefield. It is a system, and systems must remain stable. On the Empire's ship, Viral closed his eyes for a moment, then whispered, we were never the rulers. He opened his eyes. We were just part of it. And for the first time, that did not feel like defeat. It felt like truth. Backhand index pointing right, final line, end of story.